So when I came to Penn State, I came for the master's program. But then when I got here, I realized in the US, you really don't need a master's for you to go into the PhD. And before that, I was doing another master's that I had gotten an opportunity to do like distance learning. So by the time I got here, it's like I had a master's already. So
okay,
I was like, I don't think I really want to have two masters. Let me just transition into the PhD program. So after my first semester, I at the end of the first semester, I just applied to the graduate school to request to join the PhD program, and they approved it.
Hello there, you're welcome once again to the Life of the AfroPro. On this show, I interview young African professionals who have risked it all to make a meaningful life for themselves, their family, society, and the continent at large. Today, I'm privileged to have with me the first lady on my show, and I know it's going to be an exciting time. Stay glued to your sets, and you'll surely learn a lot of experience from this young woman. Let me remind you again, if you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, share. It is important for all of us to share to others, a friend, a family member, and you may never know how this will go a long way to help somebody. My name is Kofi Boache. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm excited to have with me Loren Olma. Loren is a PhD candidate at Penn State University, and I'm so excited to have her today. Loren, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kofi, for having me. It's a pleasure that I'm the first female to grace your show.
Yes.
So looking forward to how it goes.
It's a pleasure having you too. Yeah, I'm so excited to see you again. I think it's been almost 2 years since we last met.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Yeah. Okay, if you are ready, then we'll go straight into the conversation. We will start off with a little bit about your background, and you tell us your career journey.
So, as you've been told, my name is Loren Olma. I am a PhD candidate in architectural engineering here at the Pennsylvania State University, and I just finished my third year during the spring semester. So I am looking forward to the final laps of this journey. It's kind of been a long journey, but also exciting. A lot of learning opportunities here and there. So I did my undergraduate degree in quantity surveying in Kenya, and graduated in 2019. Then I worked in a corporate consulting firm in Nairobi for about 1.5 years before I transitioned to Penn State for my graduate studies. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so before your university education, can you tell us a little bit about that background, your basic and secondary education? How was growing up like?
So I grew up mostly in Nairobi. I was born in the western part of Kenya, but then I moved to Nairobi when I was 4 years old. So I did much of my primary school, kindergarten, primary school in Nairobi. And in secondary school, I went to all-girls boarding school in Nakuru called Moi Forces Academy Lanet, because my dad was in the armed forces. So I was fortunate to get into the Forces Girls Academy in Nakuru. That's where I did my secondary school. And then after that, I transitioned to the university, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology for my bachelor's in quantity surveying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's been a journey with so many lessons. One step leads you to the other. Some things you planned for, some things just come and you're like, God had a better plan than what I thought. So like even growing up, I didn't imagine at one point I'll be here in Penn State. So it's just been a journey of one thing leading to another. And after finishing one thing, another door opens up, and yeah.
Okay. So how was it coming to Penn State? Was it something that you easily got into the PhD program, or some phases of application? Because I've had interviews with others who tells me their struggle through getting admission and even integrating into the system.
I can't say, if I say that it was smooth, I would be lying, but it was not that hard. So after I remember in my third year of undergraduate transitioning into fourth year, we are given like academic advisors, like academic research advisors to guide you through your fourth year thesis. So I was fortunate enough to meet my advisor, Dr. Okaka, who like took me through this journey. And when I was doing research, he was giving me feedback, encouraging me. And after finishing my fourth year, he kind of encouraged me to start thinking about graduate school immediately, even before the graduation. So I was thinking about opportunities of places I can apply to, and he would share some of the other opportunities. And one day he shared this opportunity with me. He was like, I'm in this group, and one of my former classmates is a professor in this university, and they kind of have their admissions open. So if you're interested, you can try and apply and see what you get. So I tried and applied. So I did the application, and then I waited for like a year. I got the feedback. No, I didn't get the feedback. I didn't have the finances to do the TOEFL and the GRE. So the university reached out to me and they were like, we have received your application, but we don't have your TOEFL and the GRE. So I just responded and I'm like, I can't afford it for now, because, you know, being back home and you're just starting your career, you're in your first few months of employment, like getting the money to do all that is not really easy. So they were like, oh, we can push your application to the next year or something. But I wasn't sure I'll get in, because I didn't know if I'll get the funds. So I like forgot about it. And then COVID happened, and suddenly they reached out to me with an admission. They're like, you have been admitted.
So you skipped the TOEFL and the GRE.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an interesting one.
I was like, God, this must be you working, because the way I was saying, some doors open that you didn't even know will come up. So they reached out to me with an application, or with an admission, sorry. So I was so excited, but then I realized like getting an admission is one thing, but then getting funding for your degree is another thing. So I didn't have funding. I tried to reach out to different people, professors, different departments, different people in the university, the fellowship office, all that, but nothing was forthcoming. So at some point, I was like, I don't think this is even going forward. So I almost gave up. But then when I was just about to give up, I reached out to this other professor, and she was like, no, you don't have to defer again for the third year. Just wait until you get to that point where you don't have funding anymore, like you don't have an opportunity to join this semester. Then like towards the end of July, she reached out and she was like, I think I know a way we can try to get you funding. And that's how I got funding, like at the very last minute. So even processing my visa, I was doing everything within 2 weeks.
Wow.
But yeah, but it was such a journey.
Okay. I know you came to Penn State originally to do a master's program, and then you were able to move from or combine. I need you to explain that to me. How were you able to transition from the master's to the PhD?
So when I came to Penn State, I came for the master's program. But then when I got here, I realized in the US, you really don't need a master's for you to go into the PhD. And before that, I was doing another master's that I had gotten an opportunity to do, like distance learning. So by the time I got here, it's like I had a master's already. So I was like, I don't think I really want to have two masters. Let me just transition into the PhD program. So after my first semester, I at the end of the first semester, I just applied to the graduate school to request to join the PhD program, and they approved it.
Okay,
So it was just a
let
matter
me,
of paper.
okay, sorry to cut you. Let me get this straight. So it means that you getting through the PhD program was not necessarily with your master's degree.
No, it was not with my master's degree, because at the time I was applying to transition, I had not yet been awarded the master's that I was doing, like the distance learning master's. So they just used my credentials from my undergraduate studies to transition me to the PhD program. Yeah. So here, when you're in America, one of the good things is if you have strong credentials from your undergraduate, you can go directly into your PhD program, which saves them a lot of time. And then during your PhD program, you can decide to still get your master's along the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So it will just be maybe 5 years or 4 years, 4.5, 4 years. But still, you can decide to get your master's along the way if you came directly from undergrad. But if you still want the PhD without the master's, it's also a possibility.
Okay. Thank you very much for this information. I think it's very informative. And
Thank
the
you.
other question that I want to ask is that how does it look like as a minority being in an institution or an environment where it's highly dominated by white people? You are just not just a minority, you're a female as well. How do you cope with that kind of situation?
So that's a very good question, because it's something when you get here, like when you're back home, you don't even think about these things, because most of your, like all of your classmates are either the same skin color, you have the people of the same gender, you have that friendships, you're close to family. But then when you get here, so I came to a predominantly white institution, you are like a minority. So you start coming to terms with the fact that you are kind of different, and the environment makes it so obvious. So I had to try and look for friends or people who somehow relate with my experience. And when you're together, it makes you feel like at least there's comfort, or there's a place or people you can always lean back to whenever you're facing a certain situation. And I was lucky enough that even when I came here, I got like friends from church, families from church who were able to help me with the transition, like help me know how to get around whenever I needed something, they will provide and all that. So finding when you get to a place where you're maybe alone, you're different, trying to being intentional about building that community helps a lot. So if you hear there's for example, an African group, you try to maybe to attend some of the events and make friends, because in the long run, apart from the fact that you're in a place where you're a minority, the program itself, graduate program, master's, PhD, they're so intense. So it comes to a point where you're so stressed out about school, the weather starts being like very stressful. So you're going through all these struggles, and you want some kind of comfort or company, or even just something to make you feel like, yeah, you still matter, or there's still someone who is with
belongingness. Okay.
the same experience with you. So trying to being very intentional about looking for that community, so that when you really need it, you have it there. If you decide not to, it gets so lonely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. My next question would be, what role has your cultural background played in your career journey?
That's a very interesting question. But I can say my cultural background and where I came from helped me to develop this tenacity, like ability to endure difficult circumstances. So when you come here or when you're working in different professional environments, when those situations that are tough, that people are likely to give up, when those situations come, like I feel like my background prepared me to be able to be strong in such circumstances and find ways to try and navigate them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, Loren, you are doing architectural I don't know much about Nairobi in terms of your building accommodation and all those things. But where I come from, Ghana, I know building for residential and other commercial buildings are very expensive. What are some of the new things that you've learned here that you think if we adopt back home in Africa will help us bridge the gap in terms of accommodation?
So from what I've learned both in class and the internship that I'm currently doing, I can say the main difference is they try the construction process here, they try to optimize on the efficiency, trying to find ways to make the team that actually does the construction more efficient and collaborative, you know? When you talk about construction, there's this aspect of fragmentation that is always like engraved within the processes. And we don't realize it, but it leads to so much waste. So what I've seen here is they are so big on trying to improve that collaboration when it comes to construction processes. And then when it comes to the actual construction itself, they're so big on making the process efficient, and they focus on really trying to construct in a safe manner, I can say. Safety is a really big thing. I didn't really know until I went to the construction site, and they emphasize so much on safety because they're like, when a safety incident occurs on site, we lose so many man hours and we lose so much time, and at the end it derails the construction process. Like, we don't see it. I can say that back home to some extent we don't see it as such a big thing, but then when it happens, it costs so much. The cost of it costs so much. So they try to look at those trivial things that we may consider trivial, but in the end they give them like better output, better results, better productivity. And yeah, and in addition to that, they focus on maybe trying to come up with innovative technologies. Like when I've been attending some conferences, and in each of these conferences, you can see the way production companies are trying to really market the new technologies that they know that will help construction companies and contractors try to improve the process, the output.
I'll do a follow-up question on that. How can we bridge that gap? You know, it's so expensive for most families, especially low-income earners, to have a decent home back in Africa. With the program that you are in, what are some of the things that you think we can adopt as a people in order for us to be able to bridge that gap? Because for me, what I've experienced here, I realize that the materials they use in building and everything will be quite cheaper if we are supposed to. I know there are other factors that comes into building, but I just wanted to find out if there are certain things that you can talk to us about as to how we can be able to reduce costs and still have decent homes for families, especially low-income earners.
Yeah, I think when you talk about trying to reduce costs, it will have to be the materials that we use for the construction process. So just trying to find local materials that really work. Yeah. Because the more local you source the materials, at least you can say the cheaper it becomes.
Okay, Loren, what are some of the challenges you think you go through as a PhD candidate that you might want to share with other young people who might want to toe your line?
Okay, thank you for asking that question. So I can say the first thing before you join the program, or when you're thinking about applying to a specific university, I can say just doing some background research on the PhD program itself that you want to get into, and the area of, and really try to be specific about your area of research that you want to get into. Think about that before you join the program, or even before you make the application, because that determines a lot who you're going to work with. The way the system is designed, the research, there are specific research areas in the PhD program, irrespective of the type of maybe degree you're getting into. So you have to think about that before you get into the program. Try to talk to the people who are in that program, And then because it's mostly based on research labs, when it comes to the research lab that you want to get into, just try to know as much as you can about the lab itself, the working culture, because the PhD program can be a bit stressful, but when you have good lab mates, when you have a good advisor who can help you navigate the process, it becomes very beneficial. Your life as a PhD student becomes more meaningful and becomes more of a learning and a growth opportunity for you. But if you get the other side of it, you'll have to be dealing with the stressors of the program, the stressors of navigating your lab mates, your advisors. So I can say the aspect of your research interest, your research lab, your research advisor is a very important thing that you have to really look into before you get yourself into it. So from what I've seen so far, when like the local students here, the Americans, they get an opportunity to actually visit the universities they are thinking about applying to graduate school for. They in their last year of their undergraduates, they go to those universities, meet with the advisors, meet with the people in that research lab, talk to them how it is working in that area of research, working with the people around that area. So before they even come into the program, at least they are sure that they have tried as much as possible to eliminate the difficulties that are related to the working environment. So they'll just be facing the difficulties of the type of degree they're getting and the type of research they're doing. So I can say that is one thing you should really look into before you come into the program, and try to talk to the people. If you look at the department website and they have the different labs that are within that department, and you see there's maybe an African or there's someone you know who can explain to you how things are, trying to reach out to them will be a good thing. And I can say most of the time they're responsive. I've had a couple of people reach out to me, either they get my email from the department website, or they look me up on LinkedIn and they try to to ask me questions before they decide to commit to that program. So to the specific program that they want to get into.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can say to sum it up, I can say some of the challenges related to the PhD program revolve around the research environment that you work in, specifically the research lab and the research advisor. If you get a very supportive advisor, it helps you to grow as a person. It helps you to grow as a researcher, as a scholar, and as a professional. So that's one thing you should really consider.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for this answer. You know, we live in an era where there are a lot of young Africans migrating, some for greener pastures and some to build capacities. How do you envision the impact of these young Africans leaving their comfort zone to Europe, to the Americas, and everywhere that they think that they can find some level of progress? What do you think that kind of influx where people are migrating now will have on lives back home?
When you look at it, I can say most people are migrating because the systems back home, there's a bit of a challenge with the system and accessing maybe employment or opportunities to improve their capacity and go to graduate school. So because more people are migrating, in the long run, it will have an impact if they don't return back home to use or to apply whatever they have learned. So it means more of the capacity that we've built as young professionals, we will be applying them here, which is like helping the economies here grow. But also indirectly, there's a way it may impact the growth of the economies back home, because if you're able to improve on yourself, you improve on your families back home, you enable more people back home to go to school, you're able to finance the education, you're able to make investments back home. And in the long run, if you decide to start your own thing back home, that's a plus for them. But I can say it's like a double-edged sword. So
what message do you think African youth need to hear at this time in our lives?
That's a very heavy question, but I can say whatever situation you're in right now, just know you're not the only one that is going through it. So don't even think about giving up. Just keep on pushing and create for yourself a community, or surround yourself with people who will inspire you with their journeys and help you to move to that next step. Because what I've realized in this journey, you cannot say that you'll make it alone. So just try to create that network that you can share your dreams, and you can be inspired to move to that next level. And don't give up on your dreams. Just keep pushing, and doors will keep opening in ways you didn't even imagine initially. So just keep doing it, keep working at it, keep pushing the barriers, breaking the ceilings. Yeah, that's what I can say. Yeah.
Okay. So, Loren, if you could advise your 18-year-old self, what would that advice be?
My 18-year-old self.
Yeah.
I think I can say, I can tell my younger self to believe in herself, to believe that you're not insufficient, and no matter the background or no matter where you came from, there are so many opportunities out here. So just keep believing in yourself and keep working on yourself and keep supporting yourself and supporting others. Yeah.
Okay.
Be kind to others, be kind to yourself, and the journey will be worthwhile in the long run.
Okay. All right. Finally, this one, I'll throw it to you. If there's anything that perhaps you wanted to put across, but I didn't ask, you can feel free to share with our audience.
I think you've asked most of the questions. You've asked very heavy questions. And I think I just want to thank you for providing this platform where we can share our stories and we can try to inspire others. And it's also a way of inspiring ourselves, because when you go back a couple of years from now and look at this and you're like, I came from here, so I know there's still, the journey is still going on. So thank you for providing such a platform, and yeah, for trying to work with Africans who are out here trying to make something out of themselves. I know we are not sure where we are going yet, but in the long run, I think things will fall into place. And so thank you for sharing our voices and airing the things that we go through when we come here, the good, the bad, the learning lessons.
Okay. And I also want to thank you very much for your time, for accepting to appear on the show. It's been an exciting time with you. I know maybe in the years to come, when you are done, and just like you said, you can look back on what where you've come from. We can have another session, and then we'll share with the world to also learn a lot.
Definitely, So it will be a pleasure for me to join again and to share my perspective now as a maybe then as a young professional.
Yes, sure.
Trying to navigate this new professional world, because now I have the perspective of a graduate student. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Loren, for your time. And
You're welcome.
We appreciate you too a lot.
Thanks so much for sticking with us. And please continue to share and subscribe to the channel as we look forward to grow and reach a lot more people. Until I come your way in the next episode, stay positive, keep your heads up, and you surely reach your destination. Thank you.